Clerk, if you will read the prepared announcement and call the roll.
October 23. Please be advised this meeting is being taped for audio and video broadcast. The meeting will also be closed captioned. It's important that everyone speak clearly into the microphones and only one person speak at a time. Assisted listening devices are available. Mr. Burnett.
Present.
Mr. Corsello.
Here.
Mr. Sacchinelli. Ms. Smith. Here. Mr. Stern.
Here.
Ms. Melendez.
Here.
Mr. Ioannidis.
Present.
Mr. Dumas.
Here.
Mr. Sims.
Present.
Mr. Kites.
Here.
Ms. Siegelbaum. Here. Mr. Hempstead.
Here.
Mr. Ioannidis.
Here.
Mr. Igneri.
Here.
Mr. Livingston. You have 13 present. You have a quorum.
13 present, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda, the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 9th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Igneri moves. Do we have any corrections? Omissions?
I just had one.
Mr. Burnett.
Just one correction on the first page, where it says Mayor Grilling called the meeting to order at 7:30 and led the assembly.
Got it.
Not let the assembly. Thank you.
Okay. Any other corrections?
Wow.
Seeing none, all is in favor of the minutes as corrected by Mr. Burnett. Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Siegelbaum abstains. Next item, public participation.
Stuart
Ms.
Wells.
Thank you. Stuart Wells, 224 West Norwalk Road, speaking as Registrar of Voters. Just a very quick report to the council. We now have over 52,000, almost 53,000 registered voters in Norwalk. That's about 20% more than 4 years ago. This is largely due to the motor voter law being implemented, as was publicized significantly, and the online registration as well. It's continued to go up, so we have quite a few more voters. That's put us, however, where we need more voting booths. You're supposed to have 201 for every 250 voters, and so we need another 25 or 30, except we scrounged them. A nearby town, which I hate to mention because of throwing away perfectly valuable voting booths, but they do happen to reside to us fairly near on the west. And we got 30 voting booths from them for the cost of coming down there and picking them up. So we got that covered. Also, with that many more voters, we're probably going to need more polling places. Maybe by the presidential election, we've got some very large polling places, but certainly after the next redistricting, we most likely will. I have copies here if you want to pick them up later. Ms. King has the copies as well, but these are what voting booths look like. This entire rack of them that we got from Darien. I've got a few more copies there. The elections are run based on putting your ballot through a tabulator, which counts them. You need 2 for each polling place. If you need more polling places, you need more tabulators. Secretary of State is talking about getting some with their $5 million from Homeland Security. They think they cost $5,000 or $6,000 a piece. We got 4 of them for $10 a piece. They have now been serviced, and they didn't need new batteries. Those are about $30 each. And but they're all certified, up and running, and able to be used. We can use them for training, and we've got backup and spares. They are getting old, so we got 4 of those, and I got a picture of them here, saving the city a buck or two. And if we went to another polling place, we would need a transportation cabinet. Those are those big blue things you see at the polling place to haul all that stuff out to the polling place, and we might not have had enough of them, but somebody upstate was throwing one away. said, hey, anybody want one? And that did take, we did have to pay a truck to go up and get them because you can't really fit them in your car. That's a picture of them. And so that's where we're at. We've got enough stuff going forward regardless of all these extra voters. Of course, if it keeps up, who knows? But we're in pretty good shape. We trained our poll workers today, so it looks like we'll have an election in 2 weeks. And there's so many names on the ballot that if you, I don't know if you guys are meeting in 2 weeks as you or not, you normally meet the first that time. If you are and your meeting goes till 3, 4 in the morning, we might even have results for you, who knows? So thank you very much. As I say, I've got copies of the pictures of those things. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wells, and thank you for your hard work. Thank you for saving the city millions of dollars eventually. And also thank you for...
Well, only thousands, Mayor.
Well, thousands. Well, thank you for the good news about more registered voters in the city of Norwalk. You know, we always try to encourage people to register, to exercise their franchise, and to make sure they get out and vote. So thank you very much.
And I believe there's something about a ball game tonight, so I think I'll...
There is. And seeing that I'm a Dodger...
While we're here.
Seeing I'm a Dodger fan in the National League and a Red Sox fan in the American League, I'm good.
Thank you all.
Christine Bradley.
Good evening. I'm proud to be the library director in our wonderful city of Norwalk. And on your agenda tonight is an exciting project for us, a pop-up library. You've all heard of the old bookmobiles, and maybe some of you even remember going to those. Well, the pop-up library is an electric vehicle, and it does not have to be driven by someone with a special license. The librarians can drive this vehicle to the schools that they visit in the summer and bring a whole host of books and hotspots and library materials with them. So they're visiting now because all the schools have summer programs, which is wonderful. We're all concerned about the summer slide. I know everyone is. And so with all the people working with children do a lot of work in the summer to try to keep them reading. So this is just another thing that we hope to do, but to really bring brand new picture books on this vehicle. And actually, I already had someone the other day said, you know, if you can do that, we would love to donate the opening day collection. So I think it's exciting, and look for us in the Memorial Day Parade. That's our target. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley.
Alex Knopp.
Thank you, Alex Knopp, President of the Board of the Library, here to join Ms. Bradley in thanking you for your past support for the library. Let me just explain briefly why this is on your agenda as a special capital appropriation rather than as a regular one. We had it in our regular capital budget. The finance director of the city thought that there were some unexpended capital projects that the library might want to consider reviewing, which we did, and turn them back to the city. The reason why we're not waiting until the next regular capital budget is that we want to procure and outfit this pop-up library in time to use it between the April and September period of 2019. And if we waited until the new capital budget goes into effect on July 1st, we would miss the opportunity to use it during the summer. So making the special request of you tonight, which, as you know, has been approved by the Planning Commission and the Board of Estimate and the Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. Burnett. We therefore hope to procure it and outfit it in time to get it for use of the summer of 2019 and make sure we reach those kids as quickly as possible. So thank you for your consideration tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Knopp. We also, during the year, we always look at the unexpended capital expenditures, things that perhaps capital funds are no longer needed, or perhaps there's funds left over from a project completed. And when we reviewed the library, we found there were funds that were available. And so rather than try to ask for more funds in the capital budget, we went and took some of the funds back and reallocated them to this pop-up library, which we believe is very, very important to stop that summer slide, get young people reading during the summer season, and I think it's a win-win for all, so thank you.
Thank you, and we hope that all members of the council will fill out their library survey online.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much to get your opinions about our future development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nobody else has signed to address the council, so we will move into resignations and appointments. Under appointments, we have Cesar Ramirez, Fair Housing Advisory Commission. Do I have a motion? Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mayor Rilling. I'd like to move the appointment of Cesar Ramirez to the Fair Housing Advisory Commission. Mr. Ramirez is currently a member of the Norwalk Police Department. He's a very active member in the community, and he's always welcoming. He's always willing to stop and talk to you about different issues and hear what you have to say and also share his thoughts. And I truly believe he will be a great advocate for the Housing Authority for our city.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Further comments? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Mr. Sims.
Thank you, Mayor. I've known Cesar for at least a good 25 years now. Cesar, as Mr. Councilman Burnett just stated, he is an avid supporter of the city. He served on several boards and commissions. I actually had the pleasure of serving on one of the boards with him. He's a true professional, and he is a city police officer, and he has been doing a phenomenal job in the city. And I'd like to second that nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Any further comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, appointments for reappointments. I'm sorry. First one, Nancy Burke for the Fair Housing Advisory Commission. Do I have a motion? Mr. Burnett.
Mayor Rilling, I'd like to move the reappointment of Nancy S. Burke to the Fair Housing Commission. Her legal background will serve her well, will continue to serve her well in this capacity, and the continuity will be very important on this commission. So I'd like to move forward with Nancy on this reappointment.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Further comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. We also have reappointments. Not unfortunately, there was an error. Reverend Jeffrey Ingram, his appointment does not end until next year, so I'm going to withdraw. He's going to remain on the Fair Housing Advisory Commission, as his appointment does not end until next year, so we'll withdraw that. Next item, Mayor's remarks. Tomorrow, October 24th, will be the Washington Village Soundview Landing ribbon cutting and groundbreaking ceremony at 12 noon in 20 Day Street lobby. As most of you know, the city, in partnership with the federal and state and local government, worked on bringing Washington Village, the oldest housing authority project in the state of Connecticut and perhaps even the nation, so that we could modernize the area with market rate housing, workforce housing, and subsidized housing, which is a great model for people to live together from different backgrounds and so forth. And a lot of with the Washington Village program, the ribbon cutting tomorrow, some of the residents of the former Washington Village have moved in. They now have living quarters of which they can be very proud, and I think this is a testimony to the city of Norwalk supporting affordable housing, housing that people can live in and enjoy. So there will be a groundbreaking, a ribbon cutting at 12, and the groundbreaking for Phase 2 at 12 noon, the 20 Day Street lobby. Everybody's invited. I hope the council people, if you have time, can stop by and look at the beautiful apartments that have been put forth for the residents of Washington Village. Also tomorrow, we have a brief ceremony to proclaim and raise the flag for United Nations Day in the city of Norwalk at 10:30 a.m. in front of City Hall. We'll be raising the United Nations flag. We know that the United Nations is an important organization if we're ever to start talking amongst each other and hopefully move towards understanding each other and working towards a true, what we all hope for, is a world peace. Also remember to get your flu shot. We are now into the flu season, and it is recommended that we all protect ourselves and our families and coworkers. Last year, over 80,000 people died from the flu. And it is important that you get inoculated and take care of yourself, take care of your families. There are some people that are more vulnerable, the elderly, some people that are more vulnerable, young children, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to protect them and to make sure that we're safe and that we're healthy. Next Wednesday, October 31st is Halloween. Watch out for the little ones, trick-or-treaters in our neighborhoods. Have fun and safe Halloween. As we drive through the neighborhoods, sometimes we're rushing to get from place to place. Realize that sometimes young people with their costumes on can't really see as well as we would hope they can see, but we have to be aware of who they are and that they're out in the streets. And it gets dark early now, and we want to make sure that the young people have a safe Halloween and that we do everything we can to drive safely, be alert, make sure that we, when we're driving through neighborhoods, that we understand that they're going to be out doing their trick-or-treating. And last but not least, and perhaps one of the most important, November 6th is Election Day. Please don't forget to vote. If you need to confirm your registration or your polling place, visit the City of Norwalk website for an easy way to get the information. The last day to register is October 30th. However, Connecticut allows for Election Day registration, so if you have not registered to vote by the cutoff date, it is still possible to come into City Hall on Election Day, but you have to come here, November 6th, between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Register and vote. Don't forget to vote. Voting is our right, and it is our civic duty. We are one of the very few nations that have free voting, and it's a privilege that we all enjoy, and we should take advantage of and exercise your franchise. So thank you very much, and please don't forget to vote. Mr. Kites.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, Ms. Siegelbaum will be reading the consent calendar, and the next council meeting will be Mr. Sims. And just those in the audience that are here for a specific item, if you hear your item read, that means your item has been approved.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
October 30th meeting, you're going to announce it.
Oh, so in October 30th, I believe it's Tuesday, if I'm correct, there will be a special meeting of the Common Council in the community room to discuss the first draft of the POCD. So all of you here, all of you in the audience, all of you looking at home, please come out if you're available to hear more about it. And I believe that is at 7 p.m. Ms. Siegelbaum. 6:30, excuse me, 6:30. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. King.
Item 7A1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Willing, to enter into an agreement with Alzheimer's Association Connecticut chapter for their use of Calf Pasture Beach for their Walk to End Alzheimer's to be held Sunday, October 13th, 2019, from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., with setup to begin at 6 a.m. and tear down no later than 3 p.m. on Sunday, October 13th, 2019. Estimated attendance, 1,500. 7A2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement with Greenwich Kennel Club Longshore Southport Kennel Club for the use of Taylor Farm for their 87th Greenwich Kennel Club AKC Dog Show, Obedience and Rally Trials, and Longshore Southport Kennel Club AKC Dog Show to be held Saturday, June 8th, 2019, and Sunday, June 9th, 2019, from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. set up to take place at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, with tear down no later than 12 noon on Monday, June 10th, 2019. Estimated attendance 1,000. Number 3, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement with Norwalk Board of Education and the Maritime Aquarium for the use of Veterans Park for their annual Norwalk River Fun Run to be held Saturday, December 1st, 2018, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., with a rain date of Sunday, December 2nd, 2018. Estimated attendance 300. Number 4, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement with M.E. O'Brien and Sons Incorporated for the purchase of Fodor Farm playground equipment for an amount not to exceed $55,270, account noted. 7C1, accept and approve the report of the Claims Committee dated October 11th, 2018. Number 2, for informational purposes only, narrative on tax collections dated October 18th, 2018. Number 3, for informational purposes only, monthly tax collectors report dated September 30th, 2018. And number 4, authorize purchasing agent to issue purchase orders to Eagle View, a sole source provider for the acquisition of aerial photography of the entire city of Norwalk for an amount not to exceed $23,530.50 per proposal Q23970, GSA contract number and account number noted. And number 5, authorize special capital appropriation in the amount of $75,000 to purchase the mobile pop-up library capital fund account given. Noted.
Thank you, Ms. Ewan. If there are no objections to the consent calendar as read, I will now call for a vote. Seeing no objections, all in favor of approving the consent calendar as read, please raise your hand. Looks to be unanimous. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kites. So we move to item 7B1. Mr. Item 7B1, Mr. Igneri.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move and then speak to it. Item B1 is authorize the Water Pollution Control Authority to execute an amendment to the February 19th, 2016 agreement with CH2M Hill Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $150,000 to provide additional on-call professional engineering services on behalf of the City of Norwalk for emergency stormwater system design. So, account numbers duly noted.
Mr. Igneri, you have moved the item and now wishes to speak.
I think this is an excellent item. We've had some unbelievable rains over the last few weeks, and overwhelmed our system on one particular rain. We've had sewer covers pop and so forth, so we need to look into this, and here's a engineer that we've been working with at the WPCA who's proven, and we can quickly get him to work to look at some of the storm service engineering problems we have. I think it's a good item. So.
Thank you, Mr. Igneri. Further comment, Mr. Kites.
And as we all know, there's been a lot of rain. We've seen a lot of flooding, and I believe this is a good first step to move forward. I think we're living in a world now where we've got 200-year storms happening on a regular basis, and we need to do something to resolve the flooding issues we have around town. And I think this also shed light on those areas in town that flood even without this tremendous amount of rain. So I think this is the first good step. I want to thank the mayor and the chair, Mr. Igneri, for expediting this, and this, amongst other things we're doing. I think we can actually start to resolve some of these flooding issues that seem to be happening more times than not. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kites. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is item under personnel, Ms. Smith.
Yes, I'd like to move and speak to the first item, which is the approval and vote on the salary increases and bonus pool for the ordinance employees.
Ms. Smith has moved the item and now has the floor.
Yes, so this salary increase represents a cost of living increase of 2.36% increase for the ordinance employees. The ordinance employees are non-union employees, and the idea is that we want to keep our non-union employees up to date with our union employees. Our union employees receive their annual salaries, and in the past there have been some inequities, some imbalance in those increases. So this 2.36% increase is just an annual increase that happens every year. It's been budgeted for, and I support that, and the committee supported that. This, the one thing that is important to recognize is that there are 6 of those employees who are not eligible for the 2.36% increase, and those are employees who have been hired more recently and are not eligible for the increase. And additionally, the employees who were part of the reorganization and had their salaries set as part of the reorganization are not part of that 2.36% increase. That's the first part. The second part is a bonus pool for these ordinance employees. And again, this is to help create some fairness around those employees' increases. The bonus pool is a $50,000 amount also that has been budgeted for. This bonus pool has been around for a number of years prior to Mayor Rilling's administration. And again, it's just to create some more equities with the ordinance positions. The thing about the bonus pool, and this was the consensus of the committee, is we generally supported the bonus pool, but we are all, you have employees who have been receiving this bonus annually for the last 8 or 10 years, 8 to 9 years, something like that. And so, you know, they have been counting on it, they have been expecting it. The bonus pool, so what this pay plan provides for is that the mayor may award up to 5% of an eligible employee's salary as a bonus, and no more than that to any individual employee. And so while in general we supported that, we also had a caveat. And we have charged our personnel director, Mr. Burney, with creating an evaluation system for those bonuses so that there is a more structured system for awarding them. We don't want to penalize employees who are used to this, this system, but moving forward, we felt we need more structure and we need more accountability.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, I would just like to make a comment, and we have Mr. Burney here, who is our HR director. It is critically important that we make sure that we evaluate in a manner which is effective to evaluate our employees. I know for sure and for a fact that I've worked with these employees for 5 years now, and I can state unequivocally that they are good, hardworking, dedicated employees who give everything they have to the city of Norwalk. And many of them, although they're not entitled to overtime, work many long and hard hours. Even in my office, I will see the employees there till 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. I walk out of my office and I ask them, what are you still doing here? And they're saying, we have to catch up on our work. We have a lot more to do. So they're dedicated, and I agree, and I would like to ask Mr. Burney to start working for the ordinance employees, for the non-union employees, people who are engaged in the bonus pool, to start working on an effective, and when I say effective, I mean a truly effective way of evaluating their performance. Because right now, as you know, there's kind of a halo effect on performance evaluations, and they don't always do the job that you want them to do. So I would ask that we start looking at that and determine how we can effectively evaluate the performance of employees. I also project perhaps that when we do, we're going to find out that the employees that work for us are top-notch, and we're very lucky to have them. So seeing no further comment, I don't know if you have anything to say.
At the Personnel Committee meeting the other night, I committed to present to the Personnel Committee and then to the Common Council next April a revised pay plan that includes a revised and hopefully much better performance evaluation program.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments, all in favor? Opposed? Mr. Hempstead opposed, abstentions? Mr. Dumas abstains. So it's 11 in favor, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Okay. I would like to move the second item under personnel and speak to the approval and vote on salary increases for the registrar of voters. So what we have moved forward as a personnel committee unanimously is to increase the annual compensation for the registrar of voters. There have been some inequities in the past because of the elected nature of their positions. They have only been entitled to increases every other year as opposed to annually, as so many of our employees have been. And so they've fallen a little behind if you look at what other towns are doing. So we did make some comparisons to what other cities approximately our size are doing. And we felt that we would like to bring the registrar of voters up in this way. So effective January 1st, 2019, the registrar of voters' salary will be increased by 2.36%, taking them from $58,818 to $60,206. And then 6 months later, effective July 1st, 2019, the registrar of voters' salary will be increased by 2.36%, taking them from $60,206 to $61,627. And thereafter, the registrar of voters' salary shall be increased on the same date at the same rate as the ordinance positions.
It's been moved by Ms. Smith. Any further comments? Mr. Kides.
It's a point that was brought up amongst caucus and others is the comparables, and I don't know if you mentioned that, Ms. Smith, but we're mostly compared as far as population to Danbury, and I believe the registrar of voters for Danbury has a salary less than the registrar of voters for Norwalk, and of course, as we're all aware, the cost of living in Norwalk is higher than the cost of living in Danbury, so I think this is a smart move if approved to kind of bring that to a level that's comparable municipalities around Connecticut. So I totally support this initiative.
Thank you. Further comments?
What?
I think he meant Danbury makes more.
Correct.
The registered voters make more.
Danbury currently makes more.
Makes more than Norwalk.
Than the ones in.
Further comments? Ms. Smith?
This increase as by July 2019 will bring them up just slightly higher than Danbury, just slightly.
Further comments? I'd like to thank the Personnel Committee and the Council, mainly because up until now, the registrars of voters did not get an annual pay increase. It was kind of left up to anybody's kind of whim. Now, they can be assured that each year going forward, they will get the same increase as the ordinance employees. And I think that's really a great move on behalf of this council. And I think that a lot of thought went into this and a lot of understanding of what the registrars do. So I think it was really a great decision, and I appreciate it. So thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you to the Personnel Committee, and thank you, hopefully, for the Common Council approving this as we move forward. Mr. Sims.
Yes, I think this is a a great idea to, to implement a raise for the Register of Voters office. However, do you have any information when the last time that they were given a raise?
Quite some time.
Mr. Gurney would have that.
Under the pay plan that's currently in existence, and just let me flip to it so I give you the right numbers, the Registrar of Voters received an increase on 12/31 of 16. And under the old pay plan, they are also scheduled to receive an increase on 12/31/18. So the additional compensation that the Personnel Committee approved will be on top of that 12/31/18 increase.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's also important to point out that the administrative staff in the registrar's office currently making more than the registrars themselves. So I think that's really important as a consideration. And it's not only important to consider, but perhaps in a way, it could be demoralizing. And we need to make sure that we have people in the registrar's office who are qualified to serve, and rather than take a chance of losing them if they decide that the compensation they're receiving is not fair and equitable based on other registrars throughout the area. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. Mr.
Motion to adjourn.
Walk to adjourn.
Okay, you did it.
I got it first.
You did it?
I did.
Okay. In all fairness to Eloisa, I think she was in under the wire. Motion to adjourn from Ms. Melendez. All in favor?
Aye.